you, welcome to Geekism, and welcome to this quick overview of everything we learned about Planet Coaster 2 from GamesCom. I have scoured the internet and grabbed everything that was new from both official and unofficial sources, so you don't have to. It is 2 a.m. So Planco 2 is going gangbusters at Gamescom in Germany. They have an incredible showcase on the show floor. There's a pool on the ground and roller coaster all around the outside, and if you play the 15-minute demo, you can get yourself some goodies, some pins and key rings, and you can get yourself a little gelato as well. But they certainly aren't having to bribe people to demo this game. There has been a lineup all day. The lineup is for a 15-minute demo of the game that was shown off here in a pre-recorded section. There's no insanely groundbreaking new stuff here, but there was definitely a few things that I wanted to point out. First of all, we got a better look at the generic whirligig now called the Tiny Eye, and then another version where they had themed the pods individually. I know that we already knew we could do this, but I think this is a really good example of what that can look like. It actually looks pretty good. It was also confirmed that the song Wimpy Tentafoo from the original is still there. Please, somebody just remake the original whirligig in this new version. They placed down the wooden coaster and rode it. Again, the ride POV looks pretty good here. I mean, these are untrained eyes. Like, as far as roller coasters are concerned, I'm a keen idiot. This is looking pretty smooth. And then, incredibly, for the first time, we actually see somebody build a pool. The dev just uses the stamp builder to put one down. I'd really love to see what the paint brush looks like for both paths and pools, but still, we got the stamp builder and we could see that there are 3 different depths: wading, shallow, and swimming. And as you pick those and place them down, the levels kind of form, and they looked a little janky. I wonder if there's going to be a smoothing option to smooth all of those out, but even still, the pool went down really easily and looked great. And whilst they were looking around for steps and ladders, they showed off a couple of cool things just by hovering over stuff in the menu. First of all, we saw that wave generators and lazy river jets are separate items that go into the pool to turn that pool into that attraction. I think this is fantastic. I was assuming that we would have a pool option, then from the pool you click normal pool or wave pool or lazy river, and I was really worried that the lazy river would have like an entrance and exit, much like a roller coaster or a track ride. But no, it seems that they're just going to act as normal pools as far as guests coming in and out of them, but then these pieces generate the movement of the water. I think this is really, really great. I was already loving the idea of building a water park with a lazy river around the outside of it, similar to something like Typhoon Lagoon. Now I really want to do it. I love the idea that we can just make the river and then have some steps here and there around the place, and people can just jump in and join in. That's honestly, as silly as it sounds, the second long hover over lazy river jet might be the best thing I saw today. Oh, they showed those air dryer things very briefly as well. You know, the things that cost like $5 that you can go and walk in after a log flume. They look really good. I'll definitely be placing a few of those outside of my water rides. On that menu, also for a split second, you could see some optional entry points. So these are ways that guests sort of spawn into the park in the first place. One of them was a bus, and the other one was this thing. Also, the brief look at the special effects emitters look like they have a much smaller footprint than the original game, and also little handy size guides on the thumbnail, so you got a bit of a better idea of which one you're picking. They then showed off a better look at the decal system, where you can not only change the colours of rides, but you can actually choose patterns. We knew this was already in, and they did show it briefly on the teacups in one of the previous videos, but here we just got a better look at it. Lots of the decals are repeated here. I'm pretty sure they're just placeholders, but I love the fact that the areas of the ride are named, so you can have a better idea of where you're putting the colour, and not just having to use a process of elimination like we currently have to do. Also on the decal system, I'm going to claim this as the first time we've seen the mythology theming, because there's things like the staff of Caduceus there, or the snakes from the staff of Caduceus, which is Greek mythology. So I think that's like the first time we've seen that, I think. Next up, they had a video based around the art direction of both the original trailer and the key art. They had Melissa, Rich, and Nakshatra show off a little bit of the process for generating the trailer and the key art. I will always take gameplay if I can choose it, but if not, I adore this sort of stuff. Just showing us little back end stuff like this, I think is great. It really makes us feel as fans that were involved in the development, or at least being taken along for the ride of the development. And even though you don't necessarily see new stuff, I think these are great sort of filler moments just to kind of keep that hype trickling over until you're ready for the next sort of key moment or whatever it is for the next deep dive or what have you. The only thing we saw in this that I think is worth noting is this. Just gonna put this out there. And then finally, as part of the Frontier stream, at least, there was a chat with Adam. They sat in the photo op that I haven't seen anybody share. I don't know how you get the photos for these. I want to see what it looks like. Show us what the log flume looks like. I haven't seen it anywhere. The only really thing we learned here is that Cosmic Cow is returning, so we can all rejoice that those udders are going to be flinging around again. And he also talked about the path edge being a node system, and you can sort of pull the path edges out to fill spaces if you need to. I actually saw this on somebody's live stream at the time. It isn't available now, but they did sort of show the path sort of edge just get pulled out. Oh, really great feature. The paths are just amazing. We don't need to go on about how good paths are. Paths are really good. After that stream finished, we moved over to the Xbox stream, where there was going to be some Planco 2 stuff as well. Not much here, to be honest with you. Rich Newbold took us through actually building a flume, which again I think is the first time we've seen it, but there's nothing really that you wouldn't expect here. It did show a few of the different flume pieces, how the fact that the entry points, the sort of regular entry or the drop entry, or there's like entries with little bars over them for pulling yourself in, they're all adjustable and you can pick them depending on which slide you're building, you know, all that sort of stuff that you would expect. Showed how it was recolored, how there was glass pieces and full covered pieces. Showed a shared platform that you can have multiple slides coming from, and then stairs up to that platform, and how they were sort of procedurally generated. It was just a nice little 3-minute thing that sort of showed off the flume building a little bit more in depth. This was very much focused at a larger audience. I think the people who were following this stuff with a fine-tooth comb didn't really see anything new here. And finally, honestly, where we got most of our juicy stuff from was just screenshots and quick videos and photos that people had shared on social media who were actually playing the Gamescom build on the show floor. First of all, there is an awesome video by Ruby. I'm going to link it in the description. I'm not going to go over what she covered. You need to go and watch that video. And also, while you're there, subscribe. Ruby is an absolutely fantastic creator. Her small park that she's doing with some others is one of my favorite builds in Planet Coaster. And while she wasn't actually there, she actually made her boyfriend queue up, who was there, and like sort of puppeted him through the menus because he doesn't play the game himself. But we got to see a load of the scenery, and there's just all sorts of great stuff in there. Loads of curbs and plants and really small pieces and useful pieces. Honestly, I would love to see more scenery, like show us scenery, but the stuff we saw was all really great. There was talk of 17 different terrain textures being available in the park file. I'm not sure where this came from. I'm sorry, I can't credit this, but that's great. The PC one has 8, and you have to sort of be relatively selective about which ones you use. You kind of want a couple of grasses and a couple of rocks, but then you also want the nice asphalt texture and probably the concrete as well, and then it leaves you space for maybe flowers and leaves, and you're not really, you know, it means it can all look a little bit samey. 17 is loads. I can't imagine needing more than that, but yeah, it's a great number, and if that's true, it's cool. Okay, everything else is thanks to It's Absolutely Jason over on Reddit. He managed to get some really great stuff. First of all, a quick look at the weather UI. Now, whilst this wasn't implemented, you couldn't change the time of day or the weather in the build. It did show that there were going to be different types of weather. There was going to be seasons, and that was going to affect the weather, and also it gave you a relatively like play-by-play weather report over the next sort of every hour, how it was going to change. I can only assume if they're letting you see that information and providing you with that information, it's going to matter. So it'd be really interesting to see how that comes around. Are people not going to ride outdoor rides if it's raining, or are people not going to want to ride water rides when it's lightning, or do you have to close them if there's lightning? I don't know. Well, that's probably going to be coming all in a deep dive a little bit later, but just having that information be provided suggests that there's a system that needs you to know that information. There's a single screenshot of how the water works, as in the water that needs to be moved around the parks for like cleaning pools and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they said the electricity works the same, and it's going to be using an underground pipe and cable system similar to City Skyline. So yes, there are going to be units you need to put down, sort of water filtration units or electrical units, but you're not going to have to sort of spam them around the park like you do in Planet Zoo. They all have their own area of influence. It looks like you're going to be able to have a separate area where they go, a backstage, and then you'll be able to run cable and piping out to where it needs to be. I think that's pretty good. Like, water filtration is fine. That is probably on site for water parks. But electricity, I feel like they just run off the grid. Did they not just run off the grid? I don't know. We got runoffs. We got water slide runoffs. That's what they called them, runoffs, skim pools, whatever you want to call them. The end of the water park. The end of the water ride doesn't have to go into the pool. This is great. I never doubted them for a second. I might have done, but no, we've got them. They look good. Hopefully, we'll see them in action soon. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the group copes. Oftentimes the guests will walk around in groups of up to 4, I think. So it's going to be really interesting to see, the first one comes down, are they just going to hang around by the slide? I mean, that's fine. That's probably what they would do. But I hope they sort of stand back a little bit, and then as they come down, they regroup and watch the other people come down. I'd be fine with that. That'd be really neat if they did that. And weirdly, this is so out there, but I'm going to put it on record. The fact that there are now these runoffs says to me we might get mini golf. And the reason I say that is because now it was very difficult in Planet Coaster 1 for singular activities like that to happen, because the group of 4 that walked around, they pretty much moved as an entity. They walked together, they purchased food at the same time, they threw their trash away at the same time. All of that sort of stuff was sort of set to a node almost, and then that node had multiple people on, and they just kind of walked around at one, and they always got on rides together and left rides together, which is why I feel like why we never really got things like Omni Movers and stuff in the first game, because even with the Ghost Train, like there was enough for 6 people, and they would fill up and go, and it was almost moving as a single cart, really. It just sort of spread out to make it look like it wasn't. But now we have this, I assume, ability for people to come down and then wait, and then one at a time they finish the slide and regroup and then go off again as a group. That, to me, seemed to have been one of the issues why we wouldn't see something like mini golf, because it would require 3 people of the group to wait whilst the 4th completes the action, gets the ball in the hole or whatever. I don't know. Mini golf to me goes really hand in hand with like the water park resorty type vibe they've got going on, more so than theme parks. And I just really want a mini golf game. I think a mini golf game with the scenery placements of Planet Coaster would be awesome. I don't know. I'm clutching, but I think it'd be great. And then lastly, I want to talk about turntables. We've seen now that the water rides have turntables, meaning the cart can go into them, they can turn, and it can come out backwards. And it happens quite a lot with modern water rides. It's also available in log flumes. The log flume one does look a little weird in like a little square pool, but it's all the same thing, basically. The car can go in, it can turn, it can come out again. That's great. Turntables are confirmed. People have been seeing them played. I think that it's now safe to assume that with the original mention of, yes, we have drop tracks, and the fact that we've now seen these turntables, there's an elevator as well. I mean, this all says that we're going to get switch tracks, right? And everyone will be able to do all the stuff they want to do with switch tracks. I hope. It's very exciting. And also, don't think I've seen anybody else mention this on a video. This is on the coasters. That's switch track, right? It's got to be. That's switch tracks. And there we go. I feel like I've raced through that, but there's a lot of coverage already out there. I just wanted to give you a really quick as possible cliff notes of what we saw from Gamescom. Next Wednesday, there is another deep dive that is based around creativity. To me, that suggests we'll see a lot more of the scenery options, which I'm very excited about. And if they're saving track rides, dark rides for something, that may be where we see that as well. So that'll be exciting. Either way, we'll cover it all here. Hit that button. Thanks for watching. Love you all to bits. Till the next one, be good.